Did you know that the brightest stars in the sky are often the ones nearing the end of their life? They burn with an intense light right before they fade, dazzling anyone who looks at them. She believed she had met a star like that, a man who stepped into her life with a brilliance so strong it dimmed everything else around her. From the very first moment, he made her believe this was fate. A warm smile, eyes that held her gaze just a heartbeat longer, a deep, steady voice that felt safe. He remembered the smallest details about her, from the shade of lipstick she loved to the exact coffee she drank every morning. Every gesture, every word seemed as if it had been crafted just for her. But the closer she got, the more something felt wrong. How could someone read her so effortlessly? Why did he always appear at the exact moment she was most vulnerable? And why had she never once seen him falter, hesitate, or lose his rhythm? Everything was too smooth, too perfect. As if he had performed this role countless times, leaving no space for anything real. You might think that's love, but the truth is far colder. Perfection like this rarely comes from the heart, it comes from skill. A well-practiced art of seduction. Not to build something lasting, but to capture you quickly, before you have time to think. When someone is this flawless, there's a real chance they're not loving you, they're playing a game they've already mastered. Being cared for makes you want to believe. Constant attention makes you silence your doubts. But behind that romantic surface is a calculated strategy. One so precise that you won't even realize you've been pulled in. And this is when the current starts to take you. A pull that feels sweet at first but hides a dangerous undertow. Once you're deep inside, you'll learn that getting out won't be easy. The attention that blinds you. Attention can be dangerously addictive, especially when it comes from someone who makes you believe you're special. He doesn't just listen. He makes you feel as if you're the only person in the world. His eyes never leave you when you speak. A faint smile appears whenever you share even the smallest, most ordinary story. His care arrives exactly when you need someone to affirm your worth. Every compliment is like an arrow hitting the deepest part of your heart. He calls you beautiful on days you feel dull. He tells you you're smart when you're doubting yourself. He reminds you that you're different right when you fear you're just another face in the crowd. Every word, every gesture is so precise that you start to believe this must be fate. But if you look closer, you'll see a truth that's hard to accept. You're like a thirsty person given honey to drink. At first, it's sweet, intoxicating, and irresistible. But that sweetness makes your thirst even stronger. The more you get, the more you crave. And he knows it. He doesn't love you. He loves the power he feels when he controls your heartbeat. Every compliment, every glance is a calculated move. He knows exactly when to step forward and when to pull back so you never feel satisfied. His attention isn't a gift, it's the rope that keeps you tied to him. The danger is that you'll think you're in love. In reality, you're addicted to the feeling of being noticed. You wait for his messages like you're waiting for a dose of something you can't go without. When it comes, you feel elated. When it doesn't, you feel anxious and uneasy. And so, you spiral into a cycle that never ends. But this is only the opening act. He will raise the dose. Once you've grown used to the current level of attention, he will change the rhythm, leave you hanging, make you want more, and in that moment, you'll be pulled even deeper into his game. Love at full speed. Once you've grown accustomed to his sweet attention, he moves into the next phase. Love now feels like a high-speed race. Surprise gifts appear one after another. A massive bouquet sent to your workplace with a note that makes your colleagues gasp. A weekend getaway arranged in just a few hours. Elegant dinners at places you've never been before. It's not just material things. He paints an entire future with you in it. Words like, "I want us to travel the world together," or "One day I want us to have a warm, beautiful home," slip out while you're still basking in the thrill of something new. The dates come so often you hardly have space to breathe. Everything moves so fast you don't have time to ask questions. You're like someone listening to a song played at maximum speed. The melody sweeps you away, making you forget how many important notes you've skipped. A song played too fast will snap its strings. And when the strings break, you suddenly realize you never had the chance to truly understand the person in front of you. This fast pace isn't about building something solid. It's designed to lock down your emotions before reason has a chance to speak. Once you're lost in the rush, your ability to spot warning signs drops to almost zero. He knows this, and that's exactly what gives him the advantage. The danger lies in mistaking intensity for depth. You believe that rapid, grand gestures are proof of true love. In reality, it's like trying to run a marathon. At a sprint, you burn out long before the finish line. Caught in that whirlwind. You don't notice that being constantly swept along makes you lose your balance. Your life starts revolving around his schedule, his messages, his plans. You stop having time to listen to yourself. And when you no longer make space for your own voice, it becomes all too easy to follow his lead. And then, the notes start to go off key. A date is canceled at the last minute. A text is answered slower than usual. A small pause, but enough to stir unease. That's when the music changes, and you begin to wonder what's really going on. The truth reveals itself. There comes a point when the gaps begin to show. Messages are no longer answered as quickly as before. Missed calls are left without a return. Dates are canceled at the last minute with reasons that sound perfectly reasonable. Today it's an urgent work matter. Tomorrow it's a family obligation. Next week it's not feeling well. Each excuse is convincing enough for you to let it slide. Yet they start repeating like a familiar cycle. You try to believe he's still the same as in the beginning, just busier now. You find ways to rationalize the distance, telling yourself that every relationship has its ups and downs. But deep inside, an uneasiness begins to grow. You thought you were the leading role in this love story, only to realize you're just a supporting character in a script he's written. The sweet words now feel like rehearsed lines. The gestures that once made your heart race now seem mechanical. Slowly, you begin to see that you're not the only one hearing those promises. Then the truth starts to show, like a curtain pulled by the wind. You discover that the times he's busy overlap with signs that his attention is elsewhere. A photo on social media, a passing comment from a mutual friend, a small detail, but enough to piece together the bigger picture. And that's the hardest moment to face. You realize you're only one of several roles he's keeping alive. You're not the center, not the only one, and maybe never were his true choice. Yet, ironically, you still can't let go. The memories of those sweet early days cling to you. You think about that smile, the long nights filled with laughter, the promises of a beautiful future. All of it makes you want to believe things could go back to how they were. You stand between two opposing currents. On one side is the truth, growing clearer with each day. On the other is a fragile hope keeping you tethered. And it's this pull between reality and hope that starts to crack your heart. You don't let go, not until those cracks become too wide to ever mend. The price of the love game. There's something even more painful than betrayal. It's losing yourself without realizing it. Being with him didn't just cost you time and energy. It slowly stripped away the value you once held for yourself, piece by piece. At the start, you still had boundaries, and you knew what you wanted, what you needed but the longer you stayed, the blurrier those boundaries became. You started adjusting your schedule to fit his. You postponed your own plans, set aside hobbies, and even sacrificed time with family and friends just to make space for him. Step by step, you backed away, letting him take over every corner of your life. That's when emotional dependency began to take root. Your mood rose and fell with his behavior. A single message from him could keep you smiling all day. A stretch of silence could send you spiraling into anxiety and self-blame. Your emotions were no longer yours, they were tied to someone else. Worse still, you started doubting yourself. Every time he broke a promise or turned cold, you wondered if you had done something wrong. You thought maybe you weren't attractive enough, interesting enough, smart enough. The confidence you once had was slowly eroded, replaced with a constant undercurrent of insecurity. You became like a boat without an anchor, spinning endlessly in a storm. The waves of emotion tossed you from hope to disappointment, from joy to despair, and you couldn't tell when or if you'd ever reach calm waters again. And then you saw the cold truth. He didn't actually take away your love for him. He made you stop loving yourself. When you no longer valued yourself, you left the door wide open for someone else to step in and decide your worth. This is the turning point. When you understand this, you stop seeing the relationship as a beautiful but tragic love story. You start seeing it as a wake-up call, a lesson in protecting your boundaries and honoring your own value. And this is the moment that changes everything. From here, you can keep drifting, or you can take the wheel back and steer your own ship. The awakening moment. It doesn't come from a big fight or a painful confession. It often arrives quietly, triggered by a small detail you once brushed aside. Maybe it's a strange text flashing on his phone while you're sitting next to him. Maybe it's a familiar line you've heard before, only now you realize he said it to someone else. Or maybe it's just another canceled date, with a reason so perfectly packaged it feels rehearsed. Because it probably is. And then, the puzzle pieces in your mind start to lock into place. The silent disappearances and the promises that never came true. The moments you felt you had to try harder just to be loved. Suddenly, it's all too clear. You realize the problem was never that you weren't enough. The truth is, he never truly chose you. It's like the curtain has finally dropped. You see the whole stage, the props, the lighting, and the roles he's been playing. And you understand what you've been searching for all along: validation, safety. Love was never in him. It's in how you see yourself. But getting here comes with an emotional shock. Part of you still wants to hold on, still wants to believe it could be different. Yet the part of you that's waking up knows it's time to protect your heart. This is where the red flags must be remembered so you never repeat this cycle again. When his attention burns too brightly at the start, only to fade fast. When you feel you have to earn his love instead of being loved for who you are. When his words and actions never line up. When you're always left waiting, explaining, or making excuses for the gaps in the relationship. Now, you're not just suspecting you know. And once you know, you can't go back to pretending you don't. This awakening isn't just the end of a love story. It's the beginning of a new journey, one where you no longer seek completion in someone else, but in yourself. And you know, It's time to walk away. The power no one can take away. When you walk away from a love that left you wounded, the first step isn't finding someone new. It's finding yourself again. You begin to realize that everything you once searched for in someone else, validation, safety, love, can start within you. The journey of healing isn't a straight road. Some days you feel light and free. Other days, a wave of longing sneaks back in. The difference now is that you can pause, breathe, and keep yourself from drifting into the same old cycle. You learn to love yourself intentionally, not as blind indulgence, but as love strong enough to say no when you need to draw the line when someone crosses into your safe space. You no longer accept love born from scarcity or fear of loss. You choose it only when it makes you grow and keeps you free. Your self-worth no longer comes from someone's glance or praise. It's built from what you create every day, work you care about, healthy relationships, habits that nourish your spirit. You are like a bird that has just discovered the whole sky is yours. No longer trapped in the cage of self-doubt or the fear of abandonment. You fly higher, see farther, and you understand something profound: no one can truly hurt you if you stand firm in your own value. This journey doesn't just make you stronger, it sharpens your ability to read the hearts and minds around you. You're no longer easily swept away by dazzling promises. You listen to what their actions truly say. If you want to keep learning how to read the human heart and mind, stay with us, because the next video might just save your heart all over again.